simple principle guide what we say and do. And so, with this forum, the mission or intent is to inform the residents of Hollis, Brookline, and surrounding areas about who our local candidates are and what drives them as individuals, so we can make more informed decisions when we vote. We ask the candidates to speak about themselves only and not about their opponents. The questions will be geared toward understanding the individual candidate, their passions, and the issues that compelled them to seek the office. Each candidate will have a 90-second opening statement and a 90-second closing statement. There will be questions asked of each candidate, and they will have 60 seconds to answer. We ask that they only speak about their stance and platform, not criticize the opposing candidate. This is not a debate, it's an informational forum. If you speak about another candidate's opposing position, they will not have the chance to respond, and that will not be fair. So please keep to your own thoughts, accomplishments, skills, positions, and preferences that will help us, the voters, appreciate who you are and how you might vote on issues that would come when serving our community. I would like to recognize all the candidates for seeking office. It takes a lot of strength and energy to follow your convictions, and I salute you all for choosing to take time away from yourselves and family to serve our community. Thank you. We will ask each of you in random order the questions and give you 60 seconds to answer them. We'll alert you at 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and when your time is up. Please respect the time limits. The questions were selected by a committee comprised of Rotarians and taken from a list of questions that were sent to us by residents. This is the last of 4 meetings we had. We started October 5th with District 26, and then on the 14th, District 27 and District 40 state reps. On Thursday, the 15th, we had District 5 Executive Council and District 12 State Senate. Today, we look forward to speaking with our county level candidates for sheriff, attorney, treasurer, register of deeds, register of probate, and county commissioner. I look forward to hearing you all, and we'll start with a 90-second opening statement. We'll start with sheriff. If Bill Barry will open his mic and give us your...
I'm sorry, I apologize. This is Erica. I just want to ask all of the participants to make sure that you're on gallery view, because as you are speaking, I'll be holding up these nifty little signs that tell you how much time you have left. Just want to make sure that you're able to see them, just in case you aren't able to keep track of the time on your own. Thank you.
Thank you. I forgot that part. So thanks. Bill, if you are ready, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Bill Barry, and I'm a candidate for Hillsborough County Sheriff. I'm married to my wife, Debbie, and our daughter, Lauren, is a freshman in college. I've been in law enforcement for 34 years, 26 with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, 8.5 years with the Auburn Police Department. Throughout those years, I've been involved with the arrest and apprehension of over 1,500 fugitives. I've worked on several missing children cases, bringing all of them home safely. In Auburn, I was assigned to a 10-year-old unsolved murder case. With the assistance of Robert Freitas, we were able to solve the murder and bring closure to the victims' family and friends. I've also volunteered my time in the community for dozens of youth groups, as well as coaching youth sports for over 40 years. I volunteer in our community because I care about our children, and I want to give back to the community that gave so much to me and my family when I was growing up. The year 2020 has been a very stressful year for all of us. I've been asked on numerous occasions about my view on the relationship between law enforcement and the community that we serve. The first word that always comes to mind is respect. When I was growing up, I was always taught to respect my parents, respect my teachers, coaches, and those in authority. Respect is and always will be very important to me. Men and women in law enforcement have a very tough and important job. When we pin that badge on, we do it with the understanding that we will do our best to make sure that all of our citizens are safe and protected. We also agree to treat everyone fairly, without prejudice, and with respect. Again, my name is Bill Barry. I'm a candidate for Hillsborough County Sheriff. I'm looking forward to working with you to keep our community safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chris Connolly, also for sheriff. If you're ready, we'll give you the floor for 90 seconds.
Can you unmute yourself, please?
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Chris Connolly, and I'm a candidate for Hillsborough County Sheriff. I'm a New Hampshire native. My wife and I live in Mount Vernon. We have one son who is serving in the United States Coast Guard, currently stationed in Pensacola, Florida. I began my law enforcement career in 1986. I'm a graduate of the 81st New Hampshire Police Academy, and I'm the only candidate that is currently serving as a certified law enforcement officer. My law enforcement background is extensive and demonstrates continued career progression. I served as a deputy sheriff and a sergeant with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office before accepting a position with the Goffstown Police Department, where I served as a patrol officer, a detective, juvenile officer, and a sergeant. I moved on to the Dunbarton Police Department, where I served as the chief of police. I guided the department's participation in the Commission for Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies program. Dunbarton became the smallest agency in the country to have achieved and maintained this high level of professional accreditation during my tenure. After serving as chief of police, I returned to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, serving as the chief deputy sheriff. In this role, I was responsible for day-to-day operations of the agency, as well as development and oversight of the office budget. I have a bachelor's degree in organizational management and a master's degree in public administration. I've attended numerous law enforcement training and leadership programs throughout my career. I currently serve as a deputy sheriff and a part-time patrol officer in Dunbarton. Thank you, and I look forward to taking your questions.
Thank you, Chris. For attorney, we'll start with John Coughlin.
Thank you to the Brookline Hollis Rotary for sponsoring this event. I'm running for Hillsborough County Attorney. I retired as a senior justice in the New Hampshire Circuit Court in January 2020 so that I could run for this office. I grew up in Nashua, attended local public schools, and graduated from UNH in Durham. I joined the United States Marine Corps, served as a judge advocate. After my active duty in the Marines, I returned to the Nashua area and practiced law for about 20 years. I served as a New Hampshire Human Rights Commissioner for 13 years, which included 8 of those years as the chairman. I was elected as Hillsborough County Attorney in 2002 and served in that position until my unit, the New Hampshire Army National Guard, 197th Field Artillery Brigade, was deployed to Iraq, where I served as Brigade Judge Advocate. I was nominated and confirmed as a judge in the New Hampshire District Court and later Circuit Court from 2004 until my retirement in 2020. I volunteered to return to Iraq in 2007 with the Multinational Security Transition Command, Iraq, and worked with the Iraqi General Counsel's Office, Iraq Ministry of Defense, to reestablish the Iraq military justice system and rule of law. I volunteered to return to Iraq a third time in 2010-11 with the 4th Infantry Division in Northern Iraq and served as the Chief of Administrative Law, U.S. Division North. I retired from the National Guard as Lieutenant Colonel in July 2015. I am running for Hillsborough County Attorney to restore public trust and confidence in that office. I will work tirelessly with local law enforcement and the defense bar through effective and professional communication and cooperation. I'll provide leadership and competence to the assistant county attorneys and staff. I will strive to ensure that all parties who have contact with the office will be treated with respect and dignity and equally under the rule of law. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you, John. Michael
Thank you.
Conlon for attorney.
Hi, I'm Michael Conlon. I'm running for re-election as your county attorney. I ran for this office 2 years ago and won because the people of Hillsborough County knew there was a problem. The office I inherited was being driven into the ground by poor leadership and an ideology that didn't put crime victims and survivors first and instead prioritized cutting services. I got to work quickly, coordinated with the team, and developed a 4-year budget plan within my first 3 months. When I first took office in January of last year, there was no policy and procedures, a flat management structure, and over 160 cases per prosecutor on average. In less than a year, I was able to develop and implement policies and procedures, create new prosecution units with assigned supervisors, and reduced our average caseload per prosecutor by around 25%. In his exit letter, the Attorney General praised my collaboration, and chiefs of police have said it has gotten better. I'm also proud of efforts to support diversion programs like drug court. Drug court is the primary tool used by superior courts to address the opioid epidemic and help people rehabilitate from their addiction and use disorders rather than dying in prison. We need to support these programs and continue the trend of winning the battle against the opioid crisis. Then COVID hit. I was in Alabama on training with the Secret Service on cybercrime to help protect our elderly and children from online predators. We are an essential business and have been working every day through COVID. Being a strong leader means being smart about COVID, wearing masks, keeping distance, and I have led on this issue in the office and in our community. I have proven results in fixing the issues in the office that were left for me. I'm the only candidate with a plan for the budget and improving communication with partner agencies. And I'm the only candidate that supports drug court to win the battle against the opioid crisis. Thank you for your time to speak, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Michael. Now for position of treasurer, William Breich. You have 90 seconds.
Good evening, friends. I wish to thank you for organizing this meeting. I'm William Breich, the Democratic candidate for Hillsborough County Treasurer. I'm a retired lawyer living in Antrim with my wife, Mimi Kramer Breich, who is a retired educator and cultural critic. I attended local public schools. I worked my way through Manhattan College in Riverdale, New York to earn a Bachelor of Science in Economics. And later, while working full-time, I earned a JD from Fordham University School of Law's Evening Division. I've spent 3 decades working in New York City government on the staffs of several public officials and municipal agencies. I presently serve the town of Antrim, where I live, as a planning board member and as a member of the Capital Improvement Committee. I've previously served my town as a library trustee, cemetery trustee, and vice chair of the Zoning Board of Adjustment. I've been a court-appointed guardian of an incapacitated person since 2006, and in that capacity, I have been bonded for $580,000. If Liberty Mutual is prepared to risk $580,000 on my integrity, I think it's pretty good. I submit annual accounts for my guardianship, and I examine those of other guardians to ensure their wards are receiving honest, competent, and helpful service. I'll strive for transparency in our county finances and efficiency in the agencies of county government. And I thank you.
Thank you, William. Now for the Register of Deeds, we're going to start with Jack Flanagan. Jack, you have 90 seconds for an introductory.
Thank you very much, and thanks for hosting this. I have 3 adult daughters. I have a bachelor's degree from Boston University. I have a master's degree in business from Southern New Hampshire University. I've got over 30 years of combined public service. That would include chairing of school boards, vice chairman of a Hollis Brookline co-op. I chaired SAU 41, which is the administrative unit for all the schools in Hollis and Brookline. I have been a selectman in town. I've served on the finance committee, which I also chaired. I have 4 terms in the House of Representatives in Concord. I've been in leadership positions that included ranking member this term, vice chairman of the Labor Committee, and also a majority leader, which answers directly to the speaker. I had an unsuccessful bid for Congress in 2016, and I've decided to step away from the legislative process and come back towards the administrative side of state government, that is the Registry of Deeds. I do have an inactive real estate license, which I would hopefully utilize the experiences that I have there in the Registry of Deeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Mary Ann Crowell for Register of Deeds. You have 90 seconds. *6. There we go.
Okay. My name is Mary Ann Kroll. I live in Brookline, New Hampshire. I've been a resident of New Hampshire for 32 years. I was born in West Virginia. I have one daughter who works at the VA hospital, and I have one grandson that was killed in 2019 by a bus driver. My work history is I have 22 years of experience at the Registry of Deeds, 3 years with CBC, that's a credit bureau. I was public record coordinator / auditor for the whole state of New Hampshire, including district courts. I worked for Digital Equipment Corporation, Compact, HP, Lucent Technology, and AT&T, and I had my own corporation and was a vice president in that. I can't see the time, so I don't know how much more I have.
You have 30 seconds.
30 seconds. With the public coordinator of the public records, that was a lot of responsibility. I was over 11 contract workers, and I traveled the whole state, and I picked up records, and I was trained by
Marianne.
3 different registrars in the state.
Thank you, Marianne.
You're
Very
welcome.
good. For the Register of Probate, Elizabeth Ropp was not able to make it, and Elizabeth Moreau is not in, as far as I know. But William Breich will have an opening statement for Elizabeth.
I am William Breich here, and I will read Elizabeth's statement. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Ropp, and I am running for re-election as Hillsborough County's Register of Probate. In 2018, I won my election by over 5,000 votes. In my first term, I went above and beyond the expectations of the position that became a symbolic title in 2011, and at present requires no work or responsibilities. I listened to my constituents and acted on their behalf. They told me that the Register of Probate Office should be restored to its original functions. I spoke with lawyers, legal assistants, mental health professionals, legal guardians, and adults under legal guardianship. I took all this feedback to the House Judiciary Committee for a bipartisan bill to restore the position to its original functions. I continue to do my part to advocate for community-based mental health. 3 years ago, I worked with legislators to pass a law that allows for the recovery and mental health community and other peer counselors to be certified in ear acupuncture. In 2019, the governor's opioid recovery task force endorsed the expansion of ear acupuncture services, and the Manchester Board of Mayor and Aldermen voted unanimously to provide funding for training. In my next term, I will continue to promote issues that support the health of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for doing that. For County Commissioner, Robert Rowe, you have 90 seconds.
Bob's muted.
There we go. Thank you.
Thank you for holding this forum. I appreciate it. I even passed the information on to my old Rotary Club, Milford, so they could do something in this regard. My name is Robert Rowe. I'm currently the commissioner in District 3. I'd like to be elected to go back again. I'm a former retired New Hampshire attorney, former New Hampshire judge, New Hampshire legislator. During the time I was in the legislature, I chaired the Judiciary Committee for 6 years. I'm a member of the Amherst CBA, former church moderator, 35-year Rotarian, and past president. One of my first projects in retirement was authoring 4 books on New Hampshire and Amherst history. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Robert. Suzanne Kittredge for County Commissioner.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for hosting this event. My name is Suzanne Kittredge. I'm running for County Commissioner District 3. I live in Amherst. I've lived there for 34 years with my husband, Peter, a retired BAE engineer. We have 3 adult sons and a granddaughter. I have a master's in business administration from Riviera University. When I graduated, I went to work for a company in Milford, New Hampshire. It was a manufacturing company. I worked there for 20 years and up the ranks to vice president of sales and marketing, and eventually to chief operating officer. I was responsible for over 100 employees and for a budget, a multi-million-dollar budget. That experience gave me an understanding of economic downturns and how that does affect budgets in unanticipated ways. When the company was sold, I turned down an opportunity to continue on as the chief operating officer, and I went to law school because I wanted to practice public interest law. I have a JD from University of New Hampshire Law School. I've worked as an attorney for the last 16 years. I still am an attorney. I left the public defender's office about 5 weeks ago to run for this office. I worked at the Attorney General's office in the Consumer Protection Division, and I've spent 14 years as a public defender in Merrimack County, the last 6 being in the Hillsborough County. So I'm very familiar with 3 of the departments that are overseen by the county commissioners, the jail and the nursing home. Thank you. I won't go over.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's very good. That completes the 90-second introduction by everyone. We're going to move to questions, and I'll start with Michael Conlon, attorney. What has motivated you to run for office?
I'm running for re-election of the office. So what's motivated me was when I first observed that the office of the county attorney was being improperly managed. My predecessor, who I defeated 2 years ago, described the office as being on the brink of collapse and requested an emergency $500,000 budget increase for an approximately $3.5 million annual budget because they had mismanaged the office and were unprepared for the impact of Felonies First. Felonies First was a program that had felony cases from arrest going straight to the Superior Court rather than having the arraignments go through district court instead. This created an additional burden on the county attorney's office, and that was already strapped for resources, and that made it exacerbated those issues and started creating a public safety issue in our communities and an issue with communication with our chiefs of police. I developed a 4-year budget plan in my first 3 months of office, and I'd like to continue that in my next term because 2 years is not enough to address the systemic issues that were first observed by the Attorney General in April 2017. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Chris Connolly, for sheriff, I'll ask you the same question. What has motivated you to run for office?
So passionate about community service and law enforcement. With Sheriff Hardy's retirement announcement, I felt that it was critical that the residents of Hillsborough County have a proven law enforcement leader that was ready to and willing to step up to the plate and really be able to hit the ground running on day one of the job. These are difficult times, and the need for experienced and proven law enforcement leaders of various public safety agencies has never been more important. Throughout my career, I've demonstrated the desire and ability to take on high-level challenges and responsibilities, and I'm thoroughly prepared to lead the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Chris. Mary Ann Crowell, for Register of Deeds. What has motivated you to run for office? Mary Ann, you might be on mute at *6.
Can you?
Yep. Yes, we can hear you now.
When I graduated from high school, I wanted to work in the Registry of Deeds, and I wanted to be a registrar. So I set off to do that, and I have done many, many other things along the way. And finally, in 1998, I got the chance to work at the Registry of Deeds in Hillsborough County. I just love the old books. I love everything about the Registry of Deeds, the history. I'm very customer oriented. I like people. I like to help people. And I'm very curious about the records and learning all of that. And I've always been goal set toward the Registry of Deeds.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Oh, sorry. Was there something else?
I didn't know if I was out of time.
Okay.
Do about 5 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Bill Barry, for sheriff, what has motivated you to run for office?
Thank you. That's a great question. I've always been very, very passionate about law enforcement. I've developed some great relationships throughout my years in law enforcement, not only with the sheriff's office, but also with Auburn Police. But while I was with the sheriff's office, I worked hand in hand with so many law enforcement agencies, and it's so important that we have someone that represents the sheriff's office that can reach out and collaborate with other law enforcement agencies, not just with the way that the sheriff's office is run right now, but I'm also looking forward to working with these law enforcement agencies like the Nashua Police Departments and the Manchester Police Departments on working with children, youth groups, and also senior groups to make sure that we educate them on the dangers that are out there on a daily basis. And we're going to do this work together, and I'm going to reach out to them and make it a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. William Bright for treasurer. What has motivated you to run for office?
What motivated me to run for county treasurer was first a desire to serve in public service. A lot of my legal career was spent doing pro bono work for the poor and for those who literally couldn't afford a lawyer, which is why my wife once said I was the worst paid lawyer in the city of New York. In this context, while going about my town running for town office, the one thing that I found consistently was the fear of our older citizens that they would be taxed out of their homes. And I felt that what we would be a county treasurer dedicated to first seeing that our money is wisely spent, and secondly, loudly and clearly opposing any effort by the state to shift expenses to the county and the towns, which always leads to a property tax hike. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. For Registry of Deed, Jack Flanagan, what has motivated you to run for office?
Well, that's an interesting question. It actually started years and years ago. Peter Webb probably remembers. It was, I went to a school board meeting and I started asking questions and they didn't respond to me. And it got to a point where I thought, geez, I could do as good of a job as they could. So then I ran for office and I won. And I probably upset more people than I helped at the time because the things that I wanted to do weren't necessarily what they wanted to do. But I ultimately try to do the right thing for the taxpayers and the citizens that were affected by whether it's the school, the town, or in the case of the legislature, the state itself. One of the important things that I've really learned from public service is that we serve the public. So ultimately is to their benefit. So literally I try to improve the taxpayers' situation in any state government and or help them dealing with state government. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Suzanne Ketteridge for County Commissioner. What has motivated you to run for office?
Well, I've always wanted to be involved in public service. I was running a company for 20 years and traveling all over the country in that capacity and raising 3 sons. So I really wasn't able to have the time to run for office, although I did serve on the Nashua Soup Kitchen as vice president for a time, the Soup Kitchen and Homeless Shelter. And then I went to law school. Public interest law isn't the same thing as serving in this capacity, though. I have left the public defender's office, and I feel that I am now ready to jump into public service on a different level. I'd like to be involved in a more systemic approach rather than the individual one that the last 14 years as a lawyer has allowed me to help individuals and allowed me to see how 3 of the organizations under the county commissioners work. So that's what motivated me to run for county commissioners, the understanding of what they do and of the organizations that they manage.
Thank you, Suzanne. John Coughlin for attorney. What has motivated you to run for office?
Yeah, thank you. I retired as a senior judge so that I could run for this position because I have a serious concern regarding public safety in Hillsborough County. 3 out of our 4 adult children live here in Hillsborough. And the Attorney General's office had requested the current county attorney to resign because there was a total lack of communication and cooperation with local law enforcement. And he did not resign. And the Attorney General's office was forced to take over prosecution of that office for 9 months. And so that's really what motivated me. I'm very concerned with what's going on with the county. I spoke with a number of police chiefs and defense bar members. And as I went throughout the county, they indicated to me that there was a total lack of communication between the county attorney's office and local law enforcement. And I aim to change that. I want to fix that. And I have some ideas that I discussed with police chiefs. And if we're lucky enough to win in November, then those changes will be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Last, Robert Rowe for County Commissioner. What has motivated you to run for office?
Thank you. When my wife and I moved to New Hampshire, particularly Amherst, 50 years ago, I realized that volunteerism was a part of New Hampshire life. I was a member of Rotary. I served the public volunteerism in Rotary. When I was an attorney, I did a fair amount of pro bono work. When I retired, I decided, how am I going to keep busy? I realized getting involved in politics and government was a wonderful retirement activity. I might add that's because my golf game was so poor. I was in the legislature for almost 15 years. After that, I decided the drive to and from Concord was too excessive in the wintertime. And I decided I had an opportunity to run for county commissioner. I enjoy it. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican in the county commissioner's office or a part of government, we work together. Thank you.
Thank you. I will ask Bill Barry for sheriff the next question. And the next question is, what is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
Well, the sheriff's office is mandated by the state. We have things that we have to do. One of them is we serve civil process and we transport prisoners to and from our prisons to our courts throughout Hillsborough County. And we're going to continue doing that, but I think it's really important that we also add to that responsibility. And one of the things that I really want to push for is, again, visit our children, visit the parents and teachers, and educate the students of the dangers that are out there, educate the teachers, the bus drivers, and the parents, and also visit senior high rises to make sure that the seniors all know that, we care about them and we're going to educate them on the dangers that they face every day, the scams that are out there. So I think it's really, really important that even though the sheriff's office is mandated to do certain things, that we also can do other things that we could be responsible for and help out the community. So that's important to me. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Michael Conlon for attorney. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
Yeah, as county attorney, I'm the chief prosecutor and chief law enforcement officer in the county. That means I'm involved in supervision of our police departments and our prosecution offices, whether it's the direct responsibility of supervising assistant county attorneys handling felony cases, or supporting district court prosecutors that are embedded in police departments. I've been assisted police chiefs with investigations for complex cases in towns where resources are thin. And we've also helped support prosecution offices when they need assistance on more complex cases there. In addition, I'm directly responsible for supervising the team in the office and coordinating with them and their needs on a daily basis to make sure that the trains keep running. Additionally, I've also been involved in other levels of community involvement, such as with the Manchester Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence, SART programs, the sexual assault resource teams across both county jurisdictions, Hills North and Hills South, in order to support crime victims and survivors, and our CAC programs to support forensic interviews of juveniles. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. William Bright for treasurer. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
The county treasurer collects the county property tax from municipalities, oversees the county's financial accounts, and invests county funds. The treasurer is the signatory on the county's financial accounts and works with the business office to maintain the county funds' integrity and security. And all income derived from the investments is returned to the treasury to offset the tax rate. Those are the duties set forth for the treasurer in statute. What I would like to do is bring some of my earliest experience in government to this office. I worked on performance audits, which means you not only made sure that the money was being properly spent, you made sure that it was being spent efficiently and effectively because it's the people's money. And I have always felt that. Passionately and firmly, thank you.
Thank you, William. Jack Flanagan for Registry of Deeds. What is your understanding of responsibilities of the office you seek?
Thank you for the question. Actually, the Registry of Deeds is governed by RSA 478, but ultimately the job entails supervising about a dozen people in 4 different departments. They would include the recording office, the copy room, the plan room, and the proofreading room. Ultimately, the Registry of Deeds has to be accessible. It has to be secure. And I wrote down one more, and that's accurate. Those 3 items are the guiding issues as it relates to the Registry of Deeds. And ultimately, too, is without the Registry of Deeds, I could go into that too, but you'd have no lending, you'd have no equity loans to increase your economic situation. And utility companies, they want to make sure they're in the right places, and those are all registered under the Registry of Deeds.
Very good. Thank you, Jack. Suzanne Ketteridge for County Commissioner. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek? You may be on mute.
Suzanne doesn't appear to be with us at the moment.
Okay. I'll see if I can refer to her later on. John Coughlin for Attorney. What is your understanding of the responsibility of the office you seek?
Thank you. Well, generally speaking, it's as the chief law enforcement official of the county, so you have overall responsibility for prosecution. The Attorney General's office has oversight over the entire state, but it's more than simply providing guidance. It's providing leadership in the office and supporting local law enforcement by going out there, seeing what their needs are, how we can support local law enforcement to make their cases better. And also making sure that the victims, even victims that are, you're not required to have input into a decision. All victims need to be heard. All victims should have some input into the outcome of the case. And as I went through the county and spoke with the police chiefs, there was time after time where a case was resolved or settled, and local law enforcement had no idea that case was resolved or the victim had been notified. So I would change that. And also I would actually go into the office on a regular basis. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Chris Connolly, Sheriff. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
Well, I previously served as the Chief Deputy Sheriff, so I have a thorough understanding of the duties and responsibilities of the sheriff. The office of the sheriff is a constitutional position, and he or she is directly accountable to the voters every 2 years. The sheriff is responsible for providing high-level leadership to the men and women serving underneath his or her direction. This is not an entry-level position, and it's critical that the sheriff have extensive high-level leadership, budgeting, and personnel management experience. He or she must possess the education, training, and experience to successfully lead the agency, understand the various dynamics at play, and confidently work with a wide variety of community members. The sheriff's responsible for the development, presentation, and implementation of the budget, and he or she should work to develop positive relationships with other county departments and community organizations and other agencies. It is important that the sheriff's office not duplicate services, but that they work with others to lend their unique responsibilities to assist throughout the community.
Thank you.
Suzanne has returned.
Yep, I saw that. I will get.
Apologize for that. My system's a little unstable this evening for some reason. The question, I believe, was, what are the responsibilities of the county commissioners?
What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek? Yes.
My understanding is that they have administrative and budgetary oversight of the nursing home, the county attorney's office, the sheriff's department, the Department of Corrections, and a few others. The budget is set by the executive council from the legislative delegation, and then it's overseen and managed by the county attorneys. I've read all of the minutes for the last 2 years rather. So I'm familiar with the process that goes on. I think that my experience working in the criminal defense bar has given me insight and understanding into the needs of the county attorney's office, since I deal with them on a regular basis, as well as the jail and the sheriff's department. So I'm hoping that my budgetary experience and my management experience, coupled with the understanding of the operations, will make me effective in the position.
Thank you, Suzanne. Mary Ann Kroll for a Register of Deeds. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
Yes, I believe I have the experience and the knowledge and the education in land records management to process and preserve the integrity of the land records of the county. I will make significant improvements in the office during my tenure, and I would like to continue to work on improving our efficiency and our service to the public.
Very good. Thank you, Mary Ann. Robert Rowe for County Commissioner. What is your understanding of the responsibilities of the office you seek?
The responsibilities for the county commissioners is set by statute. We have authority and responsibility to manage all the county property, and to more or less authority, we manage 5 departments. We have full management authority over the nursing home, which has the highest rating in the state and federal government, and the county jail. And it was established for 700 inmates. We have 250, and we have a great number of rehabilitation programs. We have limited authority to manage county attorney, the sheriff, and the registry of deeds. We have to fund those offices, but we do not have authority to manage them. The departments and property we managed has been extremely well done. It provides the lowest tax rate of any county in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Chris Connolly, I will ask the next question of you. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of the office?
Well, I believe strongly in the concept of service above self. I'm not a politician. I'm a law enforcement professional. I feel that law enforcement leaders have to lead by example. That means being able to make hard decisions, putting in the hard work and hours, being straightforward and honest, caring about the men and women that you lead, as well as members of the community. I have a deep sense of community. I've volunteered and been involved in a number of nonprofits, including being a board member on Honor Flight New England, really interested in veterans groups, things like that. So it's really important to be engaged in the community. And really, I believe that to be an effective leader, one needs to be present. So being present is just critical.
Thank you, Chris. William Bright for Treasurer. I'll ask the same question. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of the office?
In that The debt that I owe is to my parents, who raised me to be conscientious, thorough, diligent, and truthful. Whether I have lived up to the standards they set is up for others to judge. But that is what I strive for. The other thing is that in most of my career, I have been in public service. I have enjoyed it. It has taught me patience and the ability to get along with people who disagree with me and to find common ground so that we can all serve the public as well as possible. I am curious too, and I very much enjoy hard work. It is one of the privileges of being an adult. I look forward to serving the people of my county. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Question for Bill Barry. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of this office?
Thank you. What I would do as sheriff when I get elected is I would make sure that we have a good relationship, not only with the county commissioners and also the other elected officials, but more importantly and most important is the relationship between the sheriff and the men and women that work inside the sheriff's office. I had the honor of meeting with the sheriff's office employees a week and a half ago, and one of the biggest concerns that they had is the lack of equipment that's actually working and to keep them safe. And one of my first priorities going into the sheriff's office would be to make sure that all of the deputies and all of the office staff and staff throughout the sheriff's office is properly equipped and given the equipment that's going to keep them safe on the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ann Crowell for Register of Deeds. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of the office?
Mary Ann, are you still there?
If you would star 6, that would.
I'm unmuted.
All right.
I'm a very dedicated, hard worker, and I'm a leader. I'm not a follower, and I believe that I could deliver a level of customer satisfaction because I'm very customer oriented, and I would like to provide the tools that my employees need to get their job done. I would like to work on improving the system that we have in place now, Laredo and Avid. I think there's some flaws in it that need to be addressed, and I would work on that so we would run smooth and everything would be up to date and accordingly to the standards of the RSAs.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Robert Rowe for County Commissioner. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of the office?
Well, I consider the office as an elected office. It's an office of trust and confidence. I have an obligation to work with all the department heads and the entire Hillsborough County delegation to make sure that we're carrying out the programs that they wish. And secondly, to keep the tax rate as low as possible. We have been able to do that in Hillsborough County with a low tax rate. Other counties the tax rate is 5 to 10 times higher than Hillsborough. We have done a good job. I will continue to do that.
Thank you, Robert. Michael Conlon for Attorney. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of this office?
Sure, thank you. Well, first and foremost, I think that public safety, which is the most important aspect of the county attorney's office, It's not just about incarceration. We need to be thoughtful about how we use tools of authority or of prosecution and law enforcement to effectuate a safe community. Different people need different solutions, and we need to be creative to achieve the end result in the face of those differences. That's why I advocate for rehabilitation programs like drug court, crisis intervention training for our patrol officers, and also put together a countywide law enforcement for prosecution on sexual assault and child abuse. And I'm a leader in the office on the issue of COVID. I also believe in accountability and honesty. When I was asked to resign by the Attorney General, I knew better because I had just laid the foundation for further improvements in the office after securing the largest budget increase in over a decade, possibly the largest ever, with no impact to taxpayers. To be accountable to the people, I remained in the role and managed further improvements and was praised by the Attorney General for my collaboration efforts. Results in progress will foster the trust as an elected official in charge of a very important office. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Suzanne Ketteridge for County Commissioner. What if
Well,
any?
I'm sorry. I believe that the ability to listen is more important than the ability to talk. That compromise is critical, particularly when you're dealing with different departments whose organizations affect each other. The sheriff's organization is affected by the number of people arrested and put in jail. So the county attorney's office and the jail and the sheriff's, they're all interconnected in some way. I'm a big believer in collaboration. I think that communication among these groups is important. Reaching across the aisle is important. Compromise is critical. The Valley Street Jail, as is known throughout the state, is notorious. As I said, I've been a criminal defense attorney for 15 years, and I would like to change that opinion throughout the state of our jail. We have the largest one in the state. There's a story behind every reason a person is there. I think it's important to understand the root causes of what opioid is definitely one of the big ones. It has to be addressed across the table with everyone. So I think that those are the things that drive me.
Thank you, Suzanne. Jack Flanagan for Registry of Deeds. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy would govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of this office?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. I mean, the personal beliefs, not necessarily the functional part of the job or things like that. I think public service is one where you, in fact, serve the public. That is, as Bob Rowe said, that there's a certain degree of volunteerism that takes place in the state of New Hampshire, that whether it be at Little League or soccer or, helping a family in town or school board or selectmen or any of those elected positions. I happen to choose the elected positions. The other thing too is I've always had, maybe it's because I'm 6'3" and 240 pounds. I always seem to look after other people. If someone's in trouble, it was always me who was, sort of stepping in to sort of equalize the fight, if I could say that. And that's the position I've sort of taken. If I can help somebody and do it efficiently in government and cost effectively, that's sort of my personal philosophies. I think is ultimately we serve the public in these positions. We serve them hopefully in the most cost efficient way. And I see time is up.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. John Coughlin, you get the last word here. What, if any, personal beliefs or philosophy govern how you would carry out the responsibilities of this office?
Well, it really is about public service. And if you look somebody like Jack or Bob or Chris, they've all served New Hampshire in a public way. We know our legislature is one of the biggest legislators in the English-speaking world, yet they're paid $100 a year. And that's all about public service. I served on the Human Rights Commission for 13 years. We didn't get paid. We didn't expect to get paid. It's all about giving back to the public and giving back to the service. And with regard to the Hillsborough County Attorney's Office, it's about public safety, to treat everyone equally and make sure that we comply with the rule of law. It's also about providing leadership by example and by work ethic, by showing up at the office, rolling up the sleeves and getting the work done, and to communicate with local law enforcement and support local law enforcement in their efforts. We should not treat local law enforcement any differently if you're in Pelham or Manchester, or if you're up in Hillsborough or Peterborough. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We'll go to the next question, and I'll start with William Bright. For treasurer, what relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Well, I think the first skill that I bring to this office is that I understand the three responsibilities of a fiduciary, as explained to me by the Jesuit priest who taught me this at Fordham Law. The three things: it's not your money, it's not your money, it's not your money. It's simply enough that it is the people's money that I am entrusted with, and I intend to see not only that I know where it is, I am also going to see that it is spent efficiently. I can read a balance sheet. I've been able to do that for years because that's one of the things that I took out of the New York City Comptroller's office. I think that patience, intelligence, insight into human nature, all the things that I acquired over 30 years in the practice of law will be invaluable in the treasurer's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ann Crowell for Register of Deeds. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
You're on mute, Mary Ann.
Yeah, this starts, there we go. Thank
Okay,
you.
understanding the jobs at the deeds. I have 22 years experience there. Right now I'm a proofreader. I understand about the recording and the indexing, the proofreading, the plan department, and how the records are verified and how they are uploaded. To assist the customers, I can do a search of records, and I have knowledge of where everything is in the registry. So I don't have to learn that. I already know it because I'm there.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Bill Barry for, oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Bill Barry for sheriff. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Yeah, one of the most important things being in law enforcement is respect. And I think it's so important for everyone in law enforcement to respect the community and also for the community to respect police. I've been very, very successful throughout my career because I have great communication skills, and I've been able to reach out to other law enforcement agencies and work with them and alongside them throughout my career. And even as an alderman in the city of Manchester, I've taken the time to go out and do ride-alongs with the Manchester Police, the Manchester Fire, and even the ambulance service to see how they deal with the homeless situation and also with the opioid problems and the mental health issues that go along with both of those. So it's really, really important that the lines of communication stay open. Community service is near and dear to my heart, and I've been volunteering in the community for over 40 years, and I will continue that effort even as the sheriff of Hillsborough County. And I will make sure that the people in the sheriff's office also, lend themselves to the community and work with the children and the seniors in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Suzanne Kittredge for County Commissioner. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Well, I have a budgetary background. As I said, I managed a manufacturing company. We had a multi-million-dollar budget. I'm very familiar with the process of making a budget and of administering it and of making adjustments to it when necessary. I think my experience as a public defender, my recent experience over the last 6 years in Hillsborough County, has given me insight, which I think is helpful. I'm familiar with the processes and the procedures of the county attorney's office and the jail. I have good relationships with the judges. I think that there are programs that we could be implementing based upon my personal experiences representing people that are using those services, albeit sometimes not of their own accord. And I think the combination of those two things would make me effective at managing and administrating and overseeing the responsibilities of that office, of the County Commissioner's office.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne. John Coughlin for attorney. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Thank you. I've have 40 years of experience as an attorney in a wide variety. I served for many years as a defense lawyer, as I indicated before, a human rights commissioner for 13 years, 8 of those as chair of the commission. In the military, served as a judge advocate in the United States Marine Corps, as a prosecutor. I also served in the Guard and the reservists with 3 tours in Iraq. In 2007, I volunteered to go back to Iraq, and I served in the Green Zone during the surge, where I assisted the General Counsel's Office for the Iraqi Ministry of Defense to establish their military courts and reestablish the rule of law. I spent many years as a district court judge, and then later circuit court judge, hearing literally hundreds of district court cases. So I made those decisions. I made those tough decisions every day. I've gotten up at 2 o'clock in the morning as a judge and while overseas in a combat area to respond to emergency situations. I can be decisive, and I will make those decisions for the people of Hillsborough County. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Robert Rowe for County Commissioner. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Well, my experience, of course, is being honest, having no bias, wanting to work with people, being very collaborative in dealing with departments, and coming to a reasonable, cost-effective solution. My experience has been, I'm extremely familiar with the nursing home, which is the largest in the state, the Valley Street Jail. In both of those, we have superb programs going forward. In terms of the jail, we have a fair number of anti-drug programs that are going forward and working well. And we have stepped out with the various police departments to try to rehabilitate and change the behavior of many offenders, particularly first-time offenders. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Michael Conlon for attorney. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Thank you. I bring a high level of integrity, having helped rebuild the office after years of neglect and cost cutting, while the volume of work increased. I helped turn that around after years on the local planning board in Goffstown, where I live with my wife and daughter, bringing that experience with public budgeting to help develop my budget plan. While my new budget was being implemented, I withstood the public attacks because I knew the improvements were right around the corner. And I worked with the Attorney General to implement my ideas for policy and procedures and supervisory units to have a stronger management structure. I have over a decade of experience in roles with progressive increasing of responsibilities, working with small businesses and billion-dollar companies, helping them navigate through moments of crisis. My technology background with a bachelor's in computer science gave me the skills and ability to respond appropriately when the courts transitioned to e-filing, working remotely during COVID, and also helped create a cybercrime unit, the only one in the state at our office, to help protect children and elderly victims online. My project management skills have been invaluable to stay involved with the many issues at the office, the agencies we work with, the budget, creating a new census for the Board of Commissioners meetings, and creating a new tool for police departments to view case assignments online automatically. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Chris Conley for Sheriff. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Thank you. I would bring 34 years of law enforcement experience to the office. I have varied experience, having served as a local law enforcement officer and police chief, and as a deputy sheriff and a chief deputy with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. I have proven high-level law enforcement leadership experience, having served as a chief and chief deputy, and I worked for and led nationally accredited agencies. Professional development and education are critical in law enforcement, and I've always sought continuous growth in these areas. I've never been one to sit back and let the world pass by. Throughout my career, I've worked hard to maintain relevancy and competence in the profession, which is something that all law enforcement leaders should do. I'm known for my enjoyment and capabilities in mentoring new and seasoned officers. This has always been one of the most exciting and rewarding aspects of my law enforcement career, and it's extremely important. I'm thoughtful, fair, and compassionate. These traits have served me very well throughout my career. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Jack Flanagan for Register of Deeds. You get the last one of this question. What relevant skills or experiences do you believe you would bring to this office?
Thank you for the question. Obviously, because I've been in different sectors of public service, budgeting is one of them. And that was one of the concerns when I ran for the Register of Deeds. The second thing is working with people. I've been in environments like the legislature with 400 people, or even school boards when you have a host of employees and dealing with collective bargaining agreements. But, I think most importantly is that, I've been able to help the employee or whatever the person in the environment that would be working, I suppose it would be employee, to get the most that they can get out of their job. So if they have a problem, we can figure out how to fix it and move on and be better for it. So sometimes it takes spending a little bit of money. Sometimes you can save money in the long run. So those are sort of personal traits that I carry in most positions. I've been in the private sector, I've been in the public sector, and those are pretty much steadfast in how I handle dealing with various positions.
Thank you. And now for the last question, we'll start with Bill Barry for Sheriff. What issues do you especially want to address if you are elected?
Thank you. I'll tell you what's really I'm passionate about is the homeless situation and also the opioid problem, not only that the city of Manchester faces, but our communities throughout the state of New Hampshire. And I felt that I've dealt firsthand with the problems here in Manchester. And one thing that you got to keep, everyone should keep in mind is we have numerous homeless encampments in the city of Manchester, and approximately 800 people are in those encampments. Out of those 800, only 27% of them are from the city of Manchester. And I've taken the time, I've gone out with the mayor and I've gone out with the police and the fire department to visit these encampments and talk to the people that are involved there. And some of them are suffering from mental illness, some of them are suffering from opioid problems. And it's so important as a county official to reach out and work with our counterparts, whether it be Manchester Police or all of our first responders. It is so important to tackle that issue, and we should do it all together. It's an absolute community effort, and we all need to be involved to make sure that we straighten that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Robert Rowe for County Commissioner. What issues do you especially want to address if you are elected?
Well, certainly the first issue as a result of the current pandemic is going to be the budget that comes up this next March. We want to make sure that we continue quality programs for our citizens, but we would like to keep the taxes low or very likely not increase the taxes. We're going to receive a great number of pressures from the federal government to give counties less money and from the state legislature to push more programs down to the counties and make the counties pay for that. Secondly, later on in the second quarter, I would like to call together the district court system and the superior court system and the sheriffs and the police chiefs so we can work together to see what kind of program we can establish for our inmates to turn their lives around. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. William Bright for Treasurer. What issues do you especially want to address if you are elected?
The issues that I would like to address as treasurer are first to examine the operations of the various county agencies, to see where improvements for efficiency can be found and suggest that. That means that I would like to work with the heads of those agencies, including the officials who will be elected this November. I would also simply like to be an advocate for the people of this county. I agree with what I've heard in this discussion, that the state legislature is far too eager to push expenses down from the state to the counties and the towns. That inevitably results in tax hikes. And if you look at the fact that my time has run out, so I'm going to cut this short. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for keeping to the time. I appreciate it. John Coughlin for attorney. What issues do you especially want to address if you are elected?
Yeah, thank you. The major issue, overarching issue, is public safety, and to increase communication, cooperation with local enforcement. And that's how you increase public safety, to have liaisons with the county attorney's office to each of the law enforcement agencies, so they know who to call, when to call, where to call, and how to call when there's an emergency, when you get that call at 2:00 in the morning. We also need to provide that leadership, and through policies and procedures. We know in Hillsborough County, we have the Northern District, Manchester, Southern District, Nashua, and that needs to be consistent policies and procedures in each county. So that each assistant county attorney, each of the staff members know what their roles are, know what their responsibilities are. So that is my goal, to bring the office together and to provide leadership for the office. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Chris Connolly for sheriff. What issues do you especially want to address if you're elected?
Well, certainly relationship and coalition building is important. I have an extensive network of public safety professionals that I look to in those existing relationships, and then look to forge new relationships and partnerships to address the public safety needs in our county. The sheriff's office should not duplicate services being provided by other agencies, social service agencies, or community groups, as that would not be cost effective. The sheriff's office does have some unique responsibilities where they could certainly look to partner with other law enforcement agencies and civic groups, social service agencies, and things like that, where it made sense. Some of the responsibilities and capabilities of the sheriff's office might dovetail nicely in some of those areas. Sheriff's office currently maintains partnerships and presence on a number of different task force, and those are really very effective. So certainly to continue building coalitions and being sure to always work to continue those good relationships, partner with others where it makes sense.
Thank you, Chris. Michael Conlon, what issues do you especially want to address if you're elected?
Thank you. Yes, we need to continue to bring resources to the office. With my budget plan, we'll get there if there's a will to support public safety and victims of crime among the delegation and the commissioners. We need to manage the COVID issue. Earlier today, I was meeting with the jail superintendent and defense counsel to talk about trials resuming and how that will be managed appropriately. We need to add more tools to the toolbox for prosecution. That's why I testified to the Bail Reform and Pretrial Services Commission in Concord to support public safety and pretrial services to try to find a balance between incarceration and rehabilitation. With the confidence and trust of the senator chairing that commission, we need to continue that good work. We also need more training for our law enforcement community, particularly on sexual assaults and mental health. Recently, over 20 officers at Manchester Police received crisis intervention training, and we need to keep that trend going, which also protects our line law enforcement officers out there on the street when they're dealing with those issues. We also need to support rehabilitation programs like drug court. It's the best tool for our opioid epidemic as long as we can find that balance with public safety. I'm ready to continue the hard work to find those balances and manage them appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Jack Flanagan for Register of Deeds. What issues do you especially want to address if you're elected?
I ran on 3 issues. The first one is the budget. The budget's gone up 17% in the last 2 years, and no one seemed to, the incumbent seemed to have the answers. I could have started digging it, but I figured, well, I'll dig into it once I'm elected, if I'm elected. The second thing is the facilities. It's a 100-year-old building, and I think Mary Ann will attest to the fact that the facilities are suspect. I know there was an elevator issue. I think, and finally, and Mary Ann brought it up earlier, is the computer. I had a number of people when I've been campaigning complain about the computer system that we have. So those are the 3 areas: budget, facilities, and the computer. I think those are the 3 areas that actually, there's one other area. It was the issue of COVID. I think there's a need for more PPEs for the staff in the Registry of Deeds too. So there's 4.
Thank you, Jack. Suzanne Kettridge for County Commissioner. What issues do you especially want to address if you're elected?
Well, the primary responsibility is the budgetary oversight, and as many people have alluded to, COVID is going to impact budgets in a significant way. We just don't know how. So that would be a primary responsibility. But the other issues that I really am interested in looking at in developing new programs is, again, the jail. We do not have a robust pretrial service program the way Merrimack County does. This is something that has frustrated some of our local Superior Court judges in both Hills North and Hills South. Because if we can keep people out of the jail with a robust pretrial services plan and program, which is that we could do best practices looking at the way other counties are doing it. I'd also like, we do have a SATCO program, and we do have but that's the limit to the programs that we have at the jail. I also think we need to have a felonies diversion program, because felonies first did not result in the efficiencies for the county attorney's office that we expected it to.
Thank you. Mary Ann Crowell for Register of Deeds. What issues do you especially want to address if you are elected?
She's on mute again.
If you, yep, there you go. Good, thank you.
I would address the elevator, the circulation of air in the building, and the COVID, and the protection of the employees for safety and the customers coming in, especially with the elevator, with customers who have to ride that to get up to where the deeds are.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you for answering all these questions. It was very good to see the different thoughts and opinions. Very much appreciated. You're going to have a closing statement now for 90 seconds each, and we'll start with the county.
No, but because she got an elevator, she'd like to address.
Thank you, Erica. We'll start with the county commissioner, Robert Rowe, for county commissioner. You have 90 seconds for closing statements.
Thank you. As you know, my name is Robert Rowe. I've been your county commissioner for 4 years now. During that time, we have either reduced taxes, kept taxes exactly the same, or had a slight increase. But none of the programs have suffered. And I will emphasize that none of the programs will suffer. And one of the great joys of this opportunity today is I look out and I see all these quality people that are running for the office, and I'm sure that they would all do a good job. Needless to say, that I would hope that the voters would vote for me, and I will promise to continue quality services with very little or no tax increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Suzanne Kettridge for county commissioner.
Well, I would like people to vote for me because I think I can bring fresh insight into the role. I believe that we can work together to bring cost-effective programs. We have to look at the budget as a whole. If it's going to cost this amount of money to put somebody in jail, let's say $35,000 a year or $32,000 a year, we have to look at the benefits of what programs are going to offset that. I think I could work very closely with the county attorney's office. I have great relationships with the assistant county attorneys in both Hills South and Hills North. In fact, many of them encouraged me to run for this office because I do have an understanding of what they're up against and what their needs are. And I know what questions to ask of that department, as well as of the sheriff's department. They work very closely with the courts. So I have an understanding of how that works. I think that insight from recent insight as to how these organizations work, along with my background in business and budgeting, would make me effective in a difficult time, because I think we're going into a difficult time. Hillsborough County is a very large county. We have some of the biggest problems as far as crime goes. Everybody's aware of that. We have a big opioid problem. Those things all need to be addressed at a county level. And I think that my experience is broad-based enough to be able to be effective at that. And I would hope that anybody would email me if they had any questions or concerns that they'd like to ask ahead of time. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Suzanne Kittredge, for County Commissioner. For Treasurer, William Bright, closing statement.
Before I talk about myself, I'd just like to talk briefly about my friend Elizabeth Ropp, running for re-election as Register of Probate. Elizabeth isn't here with us because she is serving her patients as a healthcare professional. She works the late shift on Monday and Thursday, and she could not get off to be here. I greatly admire and respect Elizabeth. She's a good public servant, an excellent advocate for healthcare and healthcare reform, and I hope that she's reelected. As for myself.
And that is for Register of Probate.
Register of Probate, that is correct. As for myself, in the course of this tempestuous year, I've reflected often on the wisdom of a far greater man than I am, who said in his time of difficulty, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The situation is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country." It is my hope to bring new ideas, new energy, new thoughtfulness to the office of Treasurer, to serve the people well, to serve those citizens who come by the office with courtesy, kindness, and tolerance. Thank you.
Thank you, William Bright, for Treasurer. For Register of Deeds, Marianne Crowell.
Marianne, you're on mute.
I would thank you for having me tonight. I would love for the people to vote for me to become the next Registrar of Deeds with my 22 years of experience. And I hope to win and energize the registry. And also, I'm running in memory of my grandson who was killed last September by a bus driver in Massachusetts.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne Crowell, for Register of Deeds. Jack Flanagan for Register of Deeds. Closing statement.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for hosting us tonight. I've tried to serve the public. We've been talking about public service in the best way I can, and history has shown that I've been fairly effective. Even in the legislature, I used to stress to the freshmen, I said, you can either be right or you can be effective. And my goal was always trying to be effective, because that's what the public wants, is good government. And that's what I plan on bringing to the position. That is, whether it be management skills that I've learned not only in the public sector, but the private sector, but also the, working with the various employees. I hopefully will bring the same successes that I've had in the past to the Register of Deeds. And I ask for your vote on November 3rd. I'm on the Republican ballot ticket, whatever, on the ballot. So thank you very much again, and I wish everybody a good night.
Thank you, Jack. For Attorney Michael Conlon.
Sure. Thank you to the Hollis Brookline Rotary Club for hosting this event. Thank you to all the attendees and viewers who are engaged with our electoral process. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about my campaign for re-election as your county attorney. It was a difficult first term when walking into an office that was described to me as being non-functional by high-ranking criminal prosecutors at the Attorney General's office and on the brink of collapse by my predecessor. I knew it would take time and that the budget was the most important aspect of bringing resources back to the office to give the prosecutors the ability to handle a case properly and communicate with partner agencies appropriately, law enforcement, victims, witnesses, the clerks, and the many agencies involved with the case going to trial. With my budget plan, I'm proud to say improvements have been made and we're on the right track. In my first week at the office, I traveled with members of my team to Grafton County, actually, to talk with two parents grieving for their son who was lost to the opioid epidemic. I'm the only candidate running for county attorney that supports drug court rehabilitation programs to help us win the battle against opioids. The team right now is really concerned about continuing the stability that I've been able to achieve. We need to ensure the county attorney's office has a strong leader who won't quit when times get tough and walk away from the office before the mission is complete. I have shown resilience and dedication to the office, and in addition to the plans that I have for continued improvement, I'm dedicated to supporting the team at the office every day with every case that comes through it. Please check out my website, conlin4nh.com, and connect on social media to stay involved and vote between now and November 3rd for Michael Conlin for your county attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. John Coughlin, you have the floor.
Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience on the bench. We know about 70–80% of all cases that come before the court are alcohol or drug related, either directly or indirectly. And what we need is a pretrial diversion program. And when I sat in Concord, I met with the folks up there, and they had a great program on a pretrial diversion. And we had a program similar in Hillsborough County with the Veterans Court. And I sat in Veterans Court. And we had some extraordinary people doing some extraordinary things in Veterans Court. We held the people accountable for their actions. They were all veterans. They took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I reminded them of that. And we had a terrific supervisor, Diane Levesque from the VA. We also had connections with Easter SEALs. The current issue is regarding post-conviction, where you put people on a suspended or a deferred sentence. And a lot of times you set them up for failure. And I saw that as a judge. And we would change that. The incentives should not be rewards like candy or treats or a gift card or a bus pass or being first in line. That's what the current system is. We need to change that. We need to mirror what the pretrial diversion. I also wanted to talk, and I'm going to probably go over my time, because Attorney Conley talked about quitting the office. In 2002, I was elected to the Hillsborough County Attorney's Office. And I served for 11 months. And my unit, the 197th Field Artillery Brigade, was activated to go to Iraq. And I resigned my position to go with my unit as the Brigade JAG. To call me a quitter is to call every reservist, every guard member that ever deployed to Iraq. And there's hundreds of thousands of men and women that did this. And to call them quitters is a dishonest and disrespectful. And if these individuals that left to go to Iraq are quitters, I am proud to be a quitter. Thank you.
Thank you, John. For Sheriff, Bill Barry, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank the Hollis Brookline Rotary Club for giving us the opportunity to introduce ourselves. I also want to wish my opponent the best of luck. I have spent more than half of my life in law enforcement. I've been very successful throughout my career. I've been successful because of my ability to reach out to other law enforcement agencies throughout our county and our state for assistance in making sure that some of the most dangerous fugitives are brought to justice. I have never worked a case alone. It has always been a collaborative effort. I am currently serving my 4th term as an alderman in Manchester. As vice chairman of the Finance Committee, I was involved with many aspects of city government. I have had the opportunity to work on multi-million-dollar budgets, as well as being involved with many contract negotiations. I was also involved with contract negotiations at the sheriff's office, both as a representative for management in my years as a representative for the employees. I have proven leadership skills, and I promise that I will do whatever is necessary to make sure that all of our residents in Hillsborough County are safe and protected. I will also make sure that our deputies and staff are properly outfitted to keep them safe. Again, thank you for giving us the time to introduce ourselves. Please vote Bill Barry for Hillsborough County Sheriff on November 3rd. Stay safe and be healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Chris Connolly for Sheriff, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you all. And thank you to the other candidates. It's nice to have a nice civil discussion that we're not seeing in much of the national media these days between candidates. So that's something nice in a New Hampshire way. It's important that members of the community have faith in the capabilities of their law enforcement leaders. The sheriff must have extensive experience in personnel management, budgeting, and high-level law enforcement leadership. With over 30 years of varied law enforcement experience, I'm uniquely suited to serve as the Hillsborough County Sheriff. I have command level leadership experience, having served as a police chief and a chief deputy sheriff. My experience with local and county government operations, management, and budgeting provides me with unique insight into the duties and responsibilities of serving as your sheriff. It's imperative to be a good steward of tax dollars, always operate in a fiscally responsible manner, and not duplicate services provided by other agencies. I'm proud to have received the endorsement of retired Sheriff Walter Morse, current Sheriff James Hardy, a host of Hillsborough County Police Chiefs, current and former law enforcement officers, New Hampshire Troopers Association, and the New Hampshire Police Association, among others. Law enforcement is nonpartisan. It is critical that law enforcement agencies be led by individuals that value the importance of service above self and that have proven law enforcement leadership experience. We need experienced law enforcement professionals that are looking to make a positive difference in the community. I possess the required temperament, character, and experience to lead the sheriff's office. I'll provide fair, compassionate, and impartial law enforcement services for everyone. Closing, I ask for your vote on November 3rd. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Chris Connolly for sheriff. That completes this forum and the series that we have held. Would love to hear back from you and how you felt and what we could do better. And to all the candidates, thank you. You handled yourself with poise and grace. I very much appreciate it, and I learned a little bit more about each and every one of you. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you both.